If you're coming to Paris for the first time, there's a few things you do need to know. I'm French, I live in Paris, and consider this your crash course on Paris and how things work here. If what you know from Paris comes from the movies, you absolutely need to manage your expectations because the reality is pretty different. Paris is a big city, so yes, it's noisy, it's dirty, things are crazy all the time, and it's a whole new country for you, so the culture is a bit different. So you really want to make your research on what to expect and how to adapt, and this is what I'm going to share with you today. In any case, if you know what I'm about to tell you, you'll have a great experience because Paris is such a beautiful city. It's super old and has a lot of history. We have Roman ruins from the 2nd century, and we also have this very cute, distinctive Parisian buildings that you always see in the movies that date from the 19th century. So there is beauty really everywhere you look around Paris, but things change a lot from neighborhood to neighborhood. So the thing you need to know is that the city is divided in districts that we call arrondissements. If you don't remember, just say districts, we'll all understand you. They all have a number and are arranged in a spiral like this. So this is why, for example, District 7 is next to District 15. And this is important to know because we often speak about the districts when speaking about where things are. In the districts, there are so many little neighborhoods that all have a name and a different vibe. I've made a whole video about where to stay and you should absolutely watch it next. But just know that you'll have a completely different experience depending on whether, for example, you choose to stay in the upscale and a bit more traditional Saint-Germain-des-Prés neighborhood, which is right over there in the 7th arrondissement, or in the lively and up-and-coming Belleville, which is in the 20th arrondissement. Also, you need to know that Paris is crossed from east to west by a river called La Seine, and this is why you'll hear people refer as things being on the left bank or on the right bank. Anyways, Paris is a pretty tiny city, like you could walk across the city in around 2 hours, and everything is pretty close by. So if you can try to walk as much as possible, it is so fun to walk around Paris. You get to see the beautiful architecture. It's a super walkable city. Then my other favorite way of getting around is by bike. Biking around Paris is so fun. There's so many bike lanes. There's even different bike highways in the city. So it's also a super bikeable city. You could ask your hotel or Airbnb to help you rent a bike, but you can also use the city bikes called Vélib. You can find those pretty much anywhere around the city, and they're also pretty affordable. Then when things are a bit further away, you can take the metro. A metro ticket is around €2. You can now buy it on your phone using the Bonjour RATP app. I personally only use taxis and Ubers when I have a lot of bags because a lot of metro stations don't have lifts and I don't want to carry my bags. And I do recommend you do the same because there's so much traffic around Paris and driving is clearly not the most efficient way to move around. Also, Paris is pretty safe. Obviously, it's a big city, so you need to take the normal precautions. If you live in a big city like New York, London, or LA, you're good. Just apply the same things as you would back home. These are, for example, don't leave your phone outside at a cafe when you're on a terrace, close your pockets or your bag when you're in the metro, and just overall be aware of your surroundings. There's so much content online about scams and pickpockets in Paris, and I feel these are a bit exaggerated. As a local, I only got my phone stolen once in all my life in Paris, and my friends have never gotten scammed or gotten anything stolen from them. So there's no need to stress. Just be mindful and know that if you obviously look like a tourist, you might attract people who want your money and you should just ignore them. In any case, if you need anything, people who work in the tourism industry do speak English, and most locals can have a basic conversation in English, like showing you where something is or telling you the price of something. Just be patient when people don't speak English and maybe even learn a few words of French. I've spoken before about the importance of saying bonjour or hello to someone when you first start an interaction with them, and this is super important in France and will guarantee you a better experience. If you don't do that, basically, you're being rude to French people. And I often see a lot of people on social media who are a bit disappointed Parisians are not more friendly to them, and to that my answer is, what are you thinking? Just imagine if you try to befriend a random person in New York City or any big city for that matter. You know, people who live in Paris are not paid actors. We have a life, we have jobs, we have things to do. We're sometimes late for work or appointments. So obviously people are not the most friendly when they live in a big city. Also, in big cities, I found that people are a bit wary when you first speak to them. So it's very rare to meet people in the street and become friends with them, like in Emily in Paris. And I get it because when I travel, I also really enjoy meeting locals, but I also understand that locals have their own lives too. So if you want to meet locals in Paris, you can go to meetups, use couch surfing. This is actually how I met my American boyfriend Bobby 8 years ago. Or do an activity that you like a class, for example, you can do pottery. In general, I'd say that the French culture values politeness and personal space more than friendliness. So friendly small talk, like what you'd see in the US, is not as common in Paris. And you'll really see that in the service. I have to admit, yes, the service is a bit less friendly in France. But the positive of that is that you can stay at a restaurant for hours without feeling you're bothering the waiter because they just let you be. Anyway, speaking about restaurants and eating, if you're a regular on the channel, you know that it's one of my favorite topics. And if you're not, I have made so many different videos around food. I also have a map with over 200 places that I've personally been to and liked. So if you want to eat a good meal in Paris, I got you. I'd say when you go to Paris for the first time, the main culture shock you might have is how there's specific times for specific things. Like lunch is between 12 and 2 p.m., dinner starts at 7:30, and is an all-night-long experience. I'd say people really love eating and sharing meals with people they like around here. So when you go to a sit-down restaurant, you won't get in and out of the restaurant in less than an hour. So here, just embrace the lifestyle and have a nice 3-course meal with plenty of wine and good conversation. And to stay spontaneous with your plans, you should make sure you have data on your phone for all that last-minute Googling. For that, I recommend you get an eSIM and you try today's sponsor, Holafly. With Holafly, you can get an eSIM in over 190 destinations, with unlimited data plans available in over 140 of them. When I travel somewhere, I always get an eSIM to avoid expensive roaming charges and also the hassle of dealing with physical SIM cards. An eSIM is a 100% digital solution, which means you can get your eSIM before your trip and then have data when you land. If you're coming to Paris soon, especially for the Olympics, Holafly is your best option to stay connected. Setting up is super easy. Just go to holafly.com, look for your destination, pick your plan and how many days you're gonna need it, then scan the QR code and you're good to go. They even have packages for whole continents, which is great if you're planning to visit several European countries during your trip. If you purchase a plan, make sure to use my code as you can get a discount, so go check it out. One other thing you'll really want to do when you come to Paris is do a bit of shopping. So I used to live in the US and a lot of my friends live abroad, and when people come and visit me, they come with an empty suitcase and then they fill it with stuff to bring back home. So in this stuff, there's obviously food. People bring back a lot of food. For that, you should just go to any big supermarket and buy anything you like. A few of my favorites: French sea salt is really good, the butter is delicious, truffle, anything. It's super nice and cheaper than wherever you live. And obviously any types of cheeses. People also really love shopping for clothes here. A few of the brands I like are Bobby's for shoes and Cézanne and Balzac for clothing. These brands I just mentioned are both for men and women, so you can come back with a matching outfit. Oh, and another thing you should bring back home is skincare products. As a French person, I've obviously bought all my skincare products in France, but I didn't know that skincare products are very, very famous around the world. They're really great, high quality, and also cheap. And you can find most of these at pharmacies, but there's also this shop called Aromazone that I really like and have recommended in the past as well. Alright, so before I tell you what locals actually do to enjoy Paris, here is a list of the things you might hear about in the guides and what I personally think about them as a local. So, the Eiffel Tower. As a French person, I've been on top of it once when I was a kid, and I didn't think much of it until I met my American boyfriend Bobby, who really loves the tower, and now I'm a fan. I really enjoy seeing it. What I recommend you do is that you don't go on top of it. The lines are so long and it doesn't seem fun, but you know, what do I know? I've only been on top of it once. But instead, you go across the river and you see it from the side of the river. It's so much nicer and there's not a lot of people there. Let's keep going. So then there's the Arc de Triomphe, which is this big monument, and it's pretty fast to see it. So I'd say if you're in the neighborhood, go ahead and do it, but I wouldn't go out of my way just to see that. And right next to this monument, there's Les Champs-Élysées, which is the massive avenue with a bunch of different shops you've probably heard about. I usually don't really like it and I tend to avoid it because it's a bit soulless, and I don't think you do need to travel to Paris just to see a Louis Vuitton shop. However, recently I've changed my mind. Every first Sunday of the month, they close the avenue to cars, and it is super nice to walk there. there. Then we have Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the beautiful cathedral that was destroyed by a fire a few years back. It's still under construction, but it's still beautiful to see from the outside, and this is what it looks like. Back in the day, you could actually go inside and visit it, and it was super beautiful. Also, it's right in the center of the city, so you might as well go there. Then we have Montmartre. Montmartre is a super cute neighborhood of Paris. It looks just like in the movies, and it has this big church called the Sacré-Cœur. And in my personal opinion, it's one of the best things to do in Paris if you can go there right in the morning or late at night, because otherwise there's a lot of crowds. It's super cute, just walk around, get lost in the tiny cobblestone streets, and then when you're ready to move on, you can easily go to other cool areas of Paris from there. Then there's Le Louvre. You probably have heard of Le Louvre already. It's where the Mona Lisa is, and I've been there so many times because my mom was working for the French Culture Ministry, so we had kind of a special pass to skip the lines, and this really spoiled me. Now I feel the lines are a bit too long, but what I recommend you do is that you buy a skip the line ticket and you pick a few parts of the museum you really want to visit, because it's such a big museum and you could really spend a week inside it. I do prefer smaller museums, like recently we went to le Musée de l'Orangerie. It's where the water lilies of Monet are, and it's a very tiny museum, it's beautiful, and it's overall a more relaxing atmosphere. In any case, accept that Paris is a touristy city, and you're a visitor, so you're probably gonna do touristy things. And it's absolutely okay, and you should enjoy them, because a lot of these places are touristy for a reason. So I do feel you should experience some of these at least once, but also leave some time for more laid back and fun things that you also enjoy doing. So as a local, this is where I usually bring my friends. In my personal opinion, the most beautiful area of Paris is Le Marais. I'm very partial to the beautiful architecture of this place. There's very nice parks, beautiful castles, hidden gems, and also it's quite a cool area to go shopping to go to different restaurants, or grab a coffee. Both Parisians and visitors love Le Marais, and I think you will too. Then I also like the area around Odéon and Saint-Germain. I feel it's a bit more upscale, and you'll have the chic vibes of Paris there. Like, it has very beautiful old cafes. My favorite champagne shop is here. There's beautiful little streets, and also the Luxembourg Gardens are there. They are one of my favorite parks and are really cute. So the thing to do there is bring a few friends, grab a chair, grab a coffee, and chill all afternoon. Then I really love walking around the river. It's so beautiful and really relaxing. You can see the boats go by, you can stop for a little picnic, and you're literally crossing Paris, so you can have many different vibes in one single day. Also in Paris, there's so many hidden gems, so many things to discover. So just by walking around, keeping an open mind, you'll see so much that is not on the guides, not in any YouTube videos. So as you can see, there's really a lot to do in Paris. You could really spend a lifetime discovering the city. So you just need to accept that in any case, you're not gonna do and see everything. It's just impossible. And that if you like Paris, this trip might be the first of many, many more. And if you want to see more of my favorite places as a local, you should check out these videos next. I'll see you there.